Good evening, everybody, and a warm welcome to a Lyceum Night coming to you from the Paul Christian Spiritualist Church. And we're down on the south coast of the UK. It's just me tonight, so feel free to tune into something else if you want, that's fine. It's funny, isn't it? What are we doing? What are we doing? We're just here in the church. We're just coming out of those doldrum months. January, February, March. Very quiet, very cold. We haven't had an awful lot of events going on apart from our regular services. Simply because in the winter months, obviously, we need to turn on heating. And some events without the support there, we're all in the same boat. We're all in the same boat. But the sun is back. The warmth is back. The colour is back. So it feels just like, we can start moving forward again, because it's been very, very long winter. I don't know about people watching from further afield, but the UK, you just seem to have had either rain, dark, or dark and rain, or on some days it was dark and rainy. But anyway, we have lots of things coming up. Just going to talk about a few things we've got coming up here at the church in the coming months. In the meantime, anybody watching, welcome, welcome, welcome. If you've got any questions relating to spiritualism, spirituality, please bring them in. You know, we can talk about things. But as a starting point, as I say, just talking about a few things coming up. So to the lovely Matt, good evening, sir. I hope you're well. Looking forward to catching up with you. And Matt, what a wonderful introduction. Because the first big event of the year here, no, it's not the first actually, no, because we've just had Easter with the American mediums. That was very interesting. That was very interesting. They were great fun. I was hosting them for just over 2 weeks, and actually I feel like I've got three crumbs. There'll be messages about this later. 3 new friends. I didn't say 2, honestly. But yeah, that was good fun. We had the Prosecco cream tea, which was great. We sold out of the tickets for that, so eternally grateful. Very good day, lots of fun. Enjoyed it. We had an evening dem, very popular, Sunday service, and private sittings as well on the Monday went well. So yeah, it was a good weekend. So not our first big event this year. But coming up in a couple of weeks' time, which is scary. In fact, get my calendar up. Where are we? 2 weeks today. That's exciting, isn't it? We've got our coach trip to Stansted College in Stansted Mount Fitchett in Essex. They've got the open week going on. It commences on the Saturday. Excuse me, there's something going on here. I think it's tree pollen. So full program over the 4 days. We're going up on the Saturday, leaving Paul at 6 in the morning. Ooh, every year I just think, oh no. Because leaving at 6 in the morning is one thing. Getting up, getting yourself together and dressed and ready to be here for 6 o'clock is another matter entirely. But never mind, we do it. I haven't missed one yet. But we've got various pickups on the way. We're down to 13 tickets left, which is brilliant. Thank you so much. Past years, attendances have been a bit sporadic, and that's fine. I get it. I don't get incy about numbers. You put things on. If it works, great. If it doesn't work, that's absolutely fine. But this year, yeah, been really popular. So thank you, everybody who's booked and coming. Yeah. So what have you got on? what have they got on at the college? Well, as I say, it's an open week. It's over 4 days, and every day they have a full program of talk, lectures, dems, which are included in the entry price. So, for example, I'm just looking at the Saturday. Of course, I'm looking at the Saturday because that's the day we're going. So we got some wonderful demonstrations. Demonstration of mediumship with Jackie Bright and Pollington. There's a trance dem with Scott Milligan. Spiritualist healing mediumship with Tim Smith. I'm really pleased to see that because we do have a tendency sometimes in spiritualism to have the medium, and the healers. When we're actually all doing the same job. And in fact, healing mediums, I take my hat off to each and every time because they just devote themselves unaskingly to delivering healing. So yeah, I'm really pleased to see that as a topic for one of the talks there. We've also got wonderful woman James. He is giving a couple of talks. He's doing a demonstration of mediumship with Daniela Javasani. I think I pronounced that right. And later he is doing a talk on mediumship as mythology. Many of you may know Simon and Brian. He has just such a refreshing view on things. It's always engrossing. And I remember last year we actually met for the first time, although we'd spoken a lot online. We'd never actually physically met, and we actually met, and it was amazing. So looking forward to that. Lovely Kim Moore-Cullen, and she's doing a lecture on spirit photography. So I'm just picking out various ones here without any bias or whatever. Spirit art demonstration, Richard Cuthbert and Richard Stuttle. Now, Richard Stuttle, I just admire so much. This is me personally. His autographs are something else, and his whole art is just amazing. So I know where I'm going to be at 2 o'clock. But there's lots of talks. They're all included in the price, which is really good. On top of that, they've got specialist workshops as well, which run for an hour and a half. And they're being taken by Penny Hayward, Val Williams, Tim Abbott, Wendy Lyon, Deborah Chalmers, many others. Again, I'm just not biased. I'm not cutting out names because I don't like them. I am not that sort of person. I can't just sit here and read it verbatim. So, loads going on. People have said, why are you going there? Because you're not SNU. Well, number one, this isn't an SNU event. This is the Arthur Findlay College event. And as the sign says, the world's foremost college for the advancement of psychic science. And also, it's just a great learning experience. Really good learning experience for people. You know, I don't like going negative about stuff. It's too easy, and a lot of people do it. They go online and all they do is moan about everything. I just think, oh, cheer up, for God's sake. But yeah, we've got this really vital religion, philosophy, whatever your description. Actually, I'm going to bring this in. I had an interesting discussion with somebody the other day, and I said, I run a church. And the immediate reaction again was, well, we don't like churches, we prefer the centres. And I just thought, do you know what? We spend so much time digging around this pit all the damn time about church v centre v whatever. You know, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter if you go to a church, if you go to a centre, if you go to a grove, if you go to a synagogue or a temple, it doesn't matter. It's what you're finding inside. Stop worrying about the outside. And somebody said, well, they might have had a bad experience in the church. And I said, well, I've had a bad experience with a doctor, a dentist, a nurse, a policeman, teachers, lots of bad experiences with teachers, with my mum and dad. But I don't go around slating them all because I've just had one bad experience. I'll just take it as, oh, that happened. Sorry, I just needed to bring that out there because it's just been niggling me. Niggle. So, got rid of it. Thank you. Please comment on that if you wish to. But yeah, it's a really interesting day. There's so many different talks. It gives people a chance to experience spiritualism. Yes, there are demonstrations. Yes, there will be the evidential side to it. But there's so much more. And this is something we keep beating on about, is there's so much more. Recently, I've been out and about a bit. And yeah, I've some wonderful experiences and some not so wonderful experiences, sadly. You know, this evidential mediumship is it attitude. And I just think, my God, you're missing out on so much. But that's if that's their spiritualism, absolutely fine. If spiritualism invokes in you a desire, a quest, an urge to find out more, brilliant. The tools are all out there. So as I say, you know, wherever you are, it starts on Saturday the 2nd of May and runs for 4 consecutive days. There are tickets available. I think it's £20 for a ticket. But you've got such an array, such a choice of diverse topics, lectures, demonstrations, and you get to experience a college. And it is a beautiful place. It really is. I hope the horses are there. I love the horses in the field. So, yeah, absolutely. And as I say, from you know, one of the ground root places of spiritualism, it's really good to see our philosophies being disseminated in so many different ways. You know, lifting above, you know, oh, next week we've got a really good medium. That once I'll talk as me, because I can't talk as anybody else. No, I can't. The medications stop that, so that's good. I'll talk as me. You know, once I had that evidence, and a lot of the evidence I had was my own experiences. It left me with that thing of, I want to know more. I want to find out more about this. I want to maybe not understand, because I don't think we fully understand everything. But there is certainly so much scope there for exploration, for finding out, looking into various aspects of spiritualism as an umbrella. And it's all there. It's all there for the asking. But sometimes we don't ask enough, I think. Sometimes we just go, oh, that was lovely. Thank you. And again, if that's your spiritualism, that's absolutely fine. In this world, especially today, you know what, for somebody to come through and say that I love you and I'm always there supporting you, actually that can be one of the richest presents that we could ever have. So yeah, I'm not knocking it at all. But as I say, there is so much more there. That's coming up, as I say, that's 2 weeks a day. 2 weeks a day, I'm going to be sat on a coach, absolutely tired. It's the coming back. I think we get back to about 9:30, so it's like, oh, please. And Mark is very pleased that this year I haven't got him on working on the Sunday, because he'll be with us, Mark Stone on the coach, and Andy Ford, and a few other mediums, which is nice. So we can sit back and enjoy the Sunday service, not wake up thinking, oh my goodness, am I going to be able to do this? As we have done on the last few years. Anyway, that's me being flippant, excuse me. And then coming up at the end of May, so the college open weekend is on the the bank holiday weekend at the beginning of May. At the end of May, we here at Paul have our own mini version. We have our rally weekend. That was started off in 2021, I think. It was just an idea. It was based on the history within spiritualism and going back to like the 20s, 30s, 40s. We used to have rallies. Now this is spiritualists. We're not going down any line of any denomination, caste, creed, or whatever. Spiritualists. End of story. And we would fill up places like the Albert Hall. There were halls up in the Midlands that would be full, packed and standing. And it wouldn't be an all-day fest of messages. There would be a demonstration in there, but there would be all these talks. And I thought, that's wonderful. I love that idea. I love that thought. To bring people together, to have this different environment, one of education, one of companionship, friendship, bringing people together. So we started off back in 2021 and we've had some wonderful, wonderful weekends, and we've got another one coming up. This year, Friday, the 22nd of May, it all starts. And our guests this year are Phil Dykes, Kerry MacLeod. We also have Nick Witham with us, and Stephen Mega is with us as well. But throughout the weekend, we've got, we kick off on the Friday night. That's always the grand opening. Ta-da, we are here. So we will start off with an evening of mediumship. And that's with Phil Dykes and Kerry MacLeod. Then on the Saturday and the Monday is a 2-part all-day workshop with Phil and Kerry. And that's working on altered states within your mediumship. Saturday night, we've got a talk by Nick Witham. Now, he's going to be talking about the science of healing. And hands up, I didn't really know who Nick was initially, but I've done some research and fascinating, absolutely fascinating. I know we're in for something very, very special there. Healing, again, very close to my heart. Healing, again, is one of these things that we don't tend to celebrate. You know, and I tell myself off often, because after a service, I'll turn to the guest and say, thank you so much for your work. And I just take it as granted that the healers know that I'm thanking them, but I need to work on that more. Note to self. Because healing is that one mainstay in our movement. The evidential is great, has its place. Often the route of evidential mediumship is the healing route as well. But the actual spiritual hands-on healing or absent healing or distant healing, whichever practice you follow, yeah, we need to celebrate that more. And the healers as well. So then Sunday morning, we have our service an hour earlier than normal. And that will be taken by all the guests over the weekend. The lineup hasn't been announced because normally we do it on the morning and go, right, who wants to do this? But it works. It works. You know what? The atmosphere on these weekends is great because you've got a load of people together working for the same cause, and it works. We often, you know, neglect spirits sat there going, do that, try that, do that. So the Sunday morning, we will have an extended service from 10 o'clock. Sunday afternoon, 12 till 4, that is the talks. That's the whole pivotal point of the rally. Different talks, different subjects, different people, all with Q&As. We have little breaks in between. And I am working this year on streaming it onto Zoom so that people further away can be part of it to bring up their questions as well. With our system, it's been a bit trial and error, a few naughty words, but I think I've got it. Watch out for details on that. So that'll be the rally afternoon. Then in the evening, we have a film. How fabulous. The cinema. I can go around with ice cream, cigarettes. I better not. But we have the film. And that is Phil and Kerry's film, which is Evidence of the Afterlife. That's on the Sunday night at 7 o'clock. Tickets are available for that. And of course, Phil and Kerry are here. And they're on hand to talk and answer questions and do the introductions to the film. Well, that's something different. That'd be nice. I'm thinking of putting blankets out. I don't know. I'm not quite sure. Or sunbeds. Where can I get 30 sunbeds? Because that'd be great. Anyway, so that's the Sunday night. Monday is part 2 of the workshop with Phil and Kerry. So it's the Saturday and the Monday is the 2-parter. And then in the evening, we close with our experimental mediumship. Now, anybody out there who's sat in circle would probably know these ways of working, but the general public don't. So we're working with psychometry, flower sentience, blind readings, a few other things. Stuff that we do in circle that we tend not to demonstrate. But I tell you what, it's really interesting. And some of the results have been absolutely amazing. One year we had the lovely Ewan Irvin here. And congratulations, Ewan. He has just been made a minister of the SNU. So well done, you. And he did a little drawing in the afternoon. And then in the evening, he was doing a message and he went, hang on a minute. And he went back and he showed the drawing. He said, this is that person, isn't it? And they said, yes. I was like, that's so cool. But it underlines, you know, when we put in these rigid things about how our mediumship should be, we're blocking the potential for so much more. But anyway. Hello to everybody who's joining us tonight. Ashley just put a question up there. On the note of people saying they've had a bad experience with whatever they anchored their self to, is typical of our human self and how we put a state of suffering and place ourselves in a victim state. Rather than living in the moment, they are choosing to live in the past. Very true. They have a reason for this. However, we do not live in the now. We are truly us and fully connected and engaged with our own true self. Yeah, I agree totally, Ashley. I absolutely agree. As I said, you know, when we look back on our lives, we've all had a bad experience with something or other. Do we go back to that all the time, or do we just go, well, happened, can't change it, move on? So, yeah. Lovely, Matt. Love the rally. We'll be joining online. Wonderful. Thank you, Matt. And as I say, fingers crossed. I can link up the camera here, run it through Zoom so that we can have somebody monitoring the Zoom feed, and any questions that are brought up there can then be repeated in the room. So that just brings people in that little bit more. So wonderful, wonderful. So, lots of things coming up. I really hope that within spiritualism that we start to push our boundaries a bit more, you know, and we look for more. And I don't mean better evidence. Again, not being negative, not being funny, but you see some of these courses advertised and it all boils down to how can we beat the spirit world into giving us better evidence. Well, at the end of the day, the only person who can say if that was a good or a bad message is actually the sitter. Everything else is circumspect. You know, it may not be put in the way that we like. It may not be have the details in there that we like. But if the sitter is having that experience of connection, that's, to me, is what it's all about. But it goes further than that. It goes much further than that. We've got our legacy course running, which is really interesting. It is really interesting. It's not about your mediumship. There are some are medium, some are not. That's fine. It's about understanding ourselves, understanding the past, where we come from. There will be working on our own healing, and there will be working on our own psychology as well. So, yeah, and I would love to see more of this energy come back into spiritualism. And I say come back because it was very engaging philosophy, religion, way of life, whatever your terminology, doesn't matter. When we go back turn of the century and before, there were very prominent people who started to investigate spiritualism, and quite a few were investigating it on the thought of disproving it, because all these stories they've heard found too fantastic, too unbelievable, that it must be charlatans, smoke and mirrors. It's where smoke and mirrors came from, actually. And all these things, but they actually, what they found when they really started looking into spiritualism was something very moving, something very soul stirring. And it did lead to, I think it's Mr. Brown. I think it was a Mr. Brown. He was an MP and became a spiritualist again. No nonsense. I'm going to prove it wrong. A few years later, I'm an ardent spiritualist. Funny that, isn't it? And he championed movements in Parliament about child labour. That's just one small example of the shifts in our life, that this wider knowledge, this bigger understanding of the mechanics of life. That's an interesting thought, isn't it? I know in today's world, yeah, it's grim, and there's no other word for it. It's grim. There is so much more going on than we know. There is stuff going on that we can't believe. It's really grim. But, you know, within spiritualism, I'm not saying it's going to be the answers to cure everything, but things we fear is just because we don't understand. But when we can start to understand things, then we can start movement and progression. And in and through the communion of spirits, we can get different viewpoints on things in our world. What's going on? I was having an interesting conversation earlier today with somebody who brought up, you know, the things that are going on. And I said, well, it's very interesting, isn't it? At the moment, we seem to be going back over old ground. All things that we should have learned seem to be coming back to the fore again. So as a spiritualist, you should be digging, going, so why is that? You know, when we look at things and go, why, like we do with our evidential mediumship, why you show me that? What's the story? Why? When we start applying that to the world and stuff going on and not reacting from the emotional body, we may not find the cure, the resolution, but we can find the understanding. We can see things that are going on and understand it. May or may not like it, that's a side matter. It's what is it? Why is it? Why is this happening? Why do we do this? Why is everybody listening to this person? Why doesn't somebody stand up and say something? Why, you know, and it's But again, it's detaching from that emotional body. I think one of the reasons this realm exists, this planet, this earth, this condition, is that we work in our emotional body all the time. And I think one of the lessons, one of the projects, one of the disciplines that we can start to work with is understanding what is our emotional reaction, what is our logical reaction, what is our inspirational reaction, and in fact taking out the word reaction, because we do, don't we? The emotional body prompts reaction. Personally, I don't do churches. My emotional reaction was, oh, I don't care, you're not coming in mine, bugger off. That was not said, but that's the emotional body taking over. And that leads us down all sorts of things. But when we start applying, so why? Why doesn't this appeal? Why does this? Why? And it's just bringing that presence back in. You know, it's sad in a way that we've got, in the UK, we've got so many places, and it's this pushing, this bringing in the education. You know, again, I don't want to go negative because it's far too easy, and I'll just go away upset and annoyed, annoyed at myself for doing it. I was at a dem and a medium was having a reading from the medium working, and where I was sat, there were two platform mediums in front of me and two people off of the committee, and they just sat there taking the we out of this person getting the message. I was furious. I'm known to be a little bit outspoken now and then. I was absolutely incandescent. Not for the person that they were sat there taking the we out of, for the... I'm just struggling to find words. Oblivious. You know, we work with energy. We work with spirit's energy. We work with energy all the time. And if you sit there in your lounge and you're in a foul mood and you're and nothing's right and nobody can help you and anybody comes near is going to get chewed, that's the energy of your lounge at that time. And people walking in there go, ooh, that's not right. When we push that onto our churches and our centres, when you've got people in that energy, pushing that energy out into, you know, who was it? Zodiac. He said something about healing. Now, Zodiac is very old-fashioned writing, very of its time, which is fine. But he compared people who are not clean morally, working as healers is like putting dirty hands into clean water. And I thought, wow, that's interesting. And the same underlying lesson from that. You know, you come to a church, you come to the church, whatever reason brings you to the church. But that reason shouldn't be to belittle others, to create your clique, to contradict others without any firm philosophy of your own to back up your debates. It should come into an open learning situation. And I've been to places and gone, yeah, that's fine, it works for them, it's not my cup of tea, and that's great. Not a problem. I'm not going to stand there and say, well, you should be doing this. Why aren't you doing that? You know, if it works for you and it works for your congregation, absolutely great. But you have that line of what is for the greater good and what is for the self-good. And we, of all people, really, really should understand that. We really should understand that. That Joe Bloggs off of the street may not understand, may not comprehend what's being said. But as spiritualists, we really should. I mean, those people sat on tonight. I'm sure many of you sat in circle at times. And one thing with some circles at times, there are people or persons in that circle, and they're just not right. And that's fine. You know what? That's fine. But we get the emotional body out. Oh, don't like them. Oh, no, they're horrible. Oh, no, let's talk about them. Yeah, they're horrible. Oh, hi, how are you? It's about being open and honest. If you do what you do and it suits you, great. If it's not harming or hurting anybody else, that's great. The fact that it doesn't align with my thoughts or align with your thoughts, so what? Really, so what? Anyway. Jan. Yes, very much. Same with Conan Doyle. Conan Doyle came in to disprove these charlatans. That must have been an amazing time. That must have been absolutely amazing time. Because we had access to great orators, and we had the public figures. We had the public figures coming into the movement. We had the public figures becoming part of the movement. We had the public figures creating the movement. But these were all underpinned by main home circles. And in those days, education was a 3-tier system, very much so. And often the home circles were run by just very ordinary people, but devoted their life, opened themselves up with this yearning to understand more, to work in conjunction with the spirit, to bring through amazing things and potentials. I love a good trance then. When you get a trance medium, and again, I've had experiences in trance where I've seen the physical signs, the trance energy is there, but what's been said, I'm like, I'm not sure about that, but that's fine. Because I understand it's another school of thought in the spirit world. We do have this tendency to turn to spirit to tell us the truth. And you get the same on Facebook, don't you? When I see a post and it starts off, well, truth is, what your truth is, it's not your truth today may change tomorrow. We had this openness to understanding and not the single-mindedness about becoming an evidential medium. It was just about, okay, what can I learn? What can I explore? What can I find out? What is there? What is the meaning of life? Why am I here? What's going on? Question everybody's asking at the moment. What's going on? It's through education, it's through events, courses, get-togethers, that we can really start to look at these things and look for that inspiration from spirit as well. I find I don't say these things being big-headed. I know I explain this a lot, but I don't do it being big-headed. A lot of things I go into without any preconceived ideas. I just go in and go, okay. Some things I need to plan out, like some of the events in the church. Psychic supper. No, the psychic tea. Sorry, it was going to be a psychic supper. It was too expensive. Psychic tea. All the food, all the prep was done for that. The room layout was prepped. The tickets were all prepped. Come the day, we were saying, right, what are we going to do? And I went, no idea. Let's just do it and see what happens. And it worked really well because it's about trusting in things. It's getting that trust, not only in spirit, but in ourselves as well. We're very quick to hand over our power, aren't we? Oh, spirit will do that for me. One day I'm going to be up there and I'm going to hear that, and I don't know what I'm going to say, but I'm sure it will be very nice. it's finding that trust and that self-empowerment within the movement. Anyway, Jan Wallace. Helen Duncan was pretty nifty at trance by all accounts. It was the interruption by the police that probably cost her her life, sadly. There is a really good book, and I think it's written by her niece. And the first chapter absolutely grips you. And I read it and I thought, my God, somebody in Hollywood really wants to read this book, because it really gripped the reader. And it was a fascinating story and really interesting as well. Echoes of today's world in the past, or is it today's world echoing the past, whichever way we look at it. She went to, I think it was the Glasgow Spiritual Society. I know it's in Scotland, it's either Edinburgh or Glasgow. Now, she was basically an itinerant. She couldn't read, couldn't write. She took in washing, keep money coming in. And again, in those days, very three-tier class system. You had nothing, you had something, and then you had everything, and there was no in between. And she was in the class who had nothing. So when she came to note with people within spiritualism, she was working in Scotland, and I think it was something like 3 guineas for a reading with her, which in those days was a lot of money. I think, what does that work out to today? I think it's about £3.36 or something like that. 3 guineas in those days was way. But out of that, she only used to get 6 pennies, because the thinking was, from her background, if she were to get a lot of money, it would ruin and corrupt her. Yeah, in business circles, I think that's got a name. So she was fully booked, doing all these sittings, trance, physical mediumship. People were duly paying their 3 guineas, and it was her old man who went, hang on. Hang on a minute, what's going on here? So he instigated the move away from that society to work for themselves. So all the money, the 3 guineas, would go into them rather than the coffers of somebody else. And this is where I have this fascination, a little sideline of mine. I am fascinated by physical mediumship. I have experienced physical mediumship. I have experienced fraudulent physical mediumship. And when I just wonder sometimes, to be able to produce, no, not be able to produce, because we don't produce it. We work in partnership. We pave the way. We have that close liaison where physical mediumship becomes possible. With some of these accusations of fraud, now I don't doubt that a lot of these people do have the ability to create the right circumstance to enable physical mediumship. But then also I do wonder, when we see lots of DEMs being done and the promise of manifestation. Interesting. I'll put that in my biography, which could be published after I've died, so good luck suing me. But yeah. So yeah, Helen Duncan, absolutely amazing. And there was a big, where was it? Isle of Wight, It's now shut, sadly, the church. But they had a basement room, but it was one of these funny buildings where the basement was sort of like half above ground. You know what I mean? It's not fully underground; it's half above ground. I was ventnor. I was working there. The first time I worked there, two sisters ran it. Great ladies, absolutely great. And I was sat in the medium's room talking, and there was a picture of Harry Edwards there. And I went, that's so nice to see. Oh, yeah, he used to sit here. And I went, really? Wow. And he said, yeah, come downstairs. We'll show you the circle room. No word of a lie. No word of a lie. No exaggeration. You walk down these stairs, and it was like walking into a thick soup, but not in an unpleasant way. Oh, there you go. Just like that. The atmosphere changed. The atmosphere changed, and it was like walking into a really old church. You know that feeling? Everybody does it, don't we? We walk into a really old church, the first thing we do is drop our voice and go quiet, because we know we're in the presence of something. And Helen used to sit there, Harry Edwards used to sit there, and a number of other physical mediums of the time used to sit there. There was quite a few, which is undocumented, sadly. It would be really interesting from a local point of view to bring all those threads together and present them as a story, because how do these physical mediums get to know each other? That's always a fascinating thought. You know, they didn't have Facebook. They didn't have, look at me, I'm a physical medium this week. Next week, I'm a singer. Next week, I'm an artist, whatever. And they've got together. And that shows the power of spirit. That shows these little nudges and little things, leads, threads that people follow. So, yeah, thank you for that, Jan. Lovely, Sandra. How are you, darling? Hope you're well. Back in France. You lucky so-and-so. Hope the weather's lovely out there because it's baking over here. So anyway. But yeah, we've got... Who knows what this year's got in store? Who knows? Upstairs knows. But they're not going to tell us because it's more fun finding out for yourself. But the one thing that I really, really hope with and for and working for this year is bringing in that more education. Yes, the development of mediums is important. Listen to that statement again. Yes, the development of mediums is important. Not the development of their mediumship, the development of the mediums. And this is something that I think we could do well to understand better. It's funny. This is me. This is what I do. I see people, I go, oh, hi. And other people, I go, hello. just me. I trust it. All right, I may be missing out on some experiences. But as I haven't had them, I don't know what I'm missing. So happy days. But there is this resonance there with people, and you do get it. Especially, I'm fascinated with some of our guests that we have, and guests I go and see in different places. And it's the ones that have this resonance about them. They have this natural ability. We've got one on tonight, the lovely Sarah. And I'm not blowing smoke in any direction. I'm just saying it because she's there, and there's lovely Matt as well. There are people that just got this shine. This is what I call it, the shine. I don't know if I've got that from The Shining, but not in that form. But there is just this shine. Because they allow their mediumship, their healing, whatever their abilities are to be part of everyday life. Not to walk around with your head in a cloud, and 2 feathers stuck out of your hat and go Om Shanti every 2 seconds. But actually bringing in that philosophy, the understanding and connection as well with spirit into everyday life. Because I'm pretty sure this is one of the things that spirit would love to see. They love to foster, they love to encourage. Not just, oh, I'm doing a dem. When's my next dem? 2 weeks on Thursday. So I'm not going to be walking around being grumpy Lawrence and then 2 weeks on Thursday at 2:45, I'm suddenly going to go, right, I'm a medium, hi. No, I'm a medium. People out there listening are mediums, whatever discipline, doesn't matter. All right, stop trying to be all, we can't all be evidential. If we're all up on the platform giving messages, we wouldn't have anybody to give a message to. But it's allowing that connection to come through. And it doesn't mean you live a blessed life, trust me. It does not mean you're going to live a blessed life. But you are going to live a life where you can get an understanding of things. And yeah, I get frustrated with things at times. But I soon cool down. I soon go, yeah, all right, okay, I understand. Yeah, fine. All right, let's get on with it. So there's so much more within our movement, so much more within our teachings, and there's so much information available. I'm just looking at our library here, and it's massive, and it's really well used, which I'm so pleased about. Mediums coming here, we're having mediums coming here for services, not to take the service, to be part of the service, to sit in the congregation. I think, you know what, I love that. I absolutely love that, because I always say to people developing their mediumship, one way to develop your mediumship is go and watch other mediums working. Not to sit there and criticise, but just to pick up things, go, oh, I like that. Oh, yeah. And not to set yourself a bar. Oh, I want to be twice as good as them. Just set the bar as being the best that you can. But it is interesting, and these connections that are being made as well is just fascinating. It's engrossing. But anyway, I'm going off on some bizarre tangent here. I do apologise. Only coffee, I promise. So if anyone out there has got any questions, any point of views they want to bring up, absolutely just bring them in here. But as I say, the educational side of our movement, and we call it the movement, but we don't seem to be moving very much. So to put over to people watching tonight, those brave souls have already endured 50 minutes of my rambling. What's your thoughts? What do you think? But yeah, we're not doing bad, but we could be doing a lot better. My biggest fear with spiritualism is that we're just going to be reduced to be an oddity, something insubstantial or inconsequential, when actually we're not. We have the ability to connect with everything that ever was, is, and could be. So we need to start using that a lot. You see the big dems going on online and in person, which is great because it opens the doors, opens the minds to people. But are we following that up enough? That's something I'm going to be working with on Theatre Dems, looking at next year's rally, 2027. My goodness, so ahead of myself. But we have a wonderful venue, literally 4 minutes from the church. And the thoughts are to take the rally outside of the church to totally different audience, totally different people, to see what will happen. I might get a sack. Sack me after. But yeah, we've got so much we can just try things. Lovely Jody. I'm in agreement with you, Lawry. I'm glad you are. Perhaps you can explain where I was going there, because I've totally lost the plot here. Thank you, darling. Jody, I hope you don't mind me saying this. Jody, in her development as an evidential medium, we're never good enough, are we? Oh, I'm not good enough yet. Oh, no, I can't do that yet. Oh, no, I can't do that yet. Well, the only place you're ever going to get the experience is by doing it. So we set up some sessions of private one-to-ones with Jody. A, to work more with her mediumship. B, to work more with Jody, the development of Jody, not Jody's mediumship, Jody, to get that confidence in. And it worked really well. It worked very fine. Everybody came out and very good feedback, very positive and very helpful. But the biggest thing was Jody walked out going, I've done it. It's breaking that little, it's just getting through that little envelope, isn't it, that we feel, oh, I'm not good enough. Oh, no, I'm not good enough. Oh, I can't do that. Where the mind goes, energy follows. So I can't do that. Guess what? You can't do it. Oh, hello, Mr. Abbott. Long time. Looking forward to seeing you at the open week in 2 weeks today, Tim. Oh my God. Tim is saying, I wonder if spiritualists, we should stand in the market square giving out advertising literature about spiritualism like some other religions do. Tim, yeah, I totally agree with you, mate. One of my big sayings when we hear this line of, oh, we've got to get the younger people in our church, I always think that I'm very analytical, probably too analytical of what we say. And that line of, we've got to get more people into our churches, it's like, so they've got to come to you. So what are you offering them to come to you? And how are you going to let them know what you're offering for them to come to you? It gets very complicated and it ends up rattling around like a bean in a tin. Isn't it better that we actually go out? And like you say there, go out advertising, hold events in coffee shops. God knows there's enough of them. I'm going to open up a coffee shop with a Turkish barber and a mobile phone repair, and I've cornered the market there, I think. But yeah, hold an event in a coffee shop. What is spiritualism? There's an evening, we'll be here to talk. Come in, grab a coffee, sit down, and we'll talk. Go out and meet people. Very, very good. So yes, Tim. That is really good, and it's like with all advertising. What are we marketing? Put it in business terms. How do we market? What's our demographic? Who are we looking to attract? Many things. But there's so much opportunity. There's many churches and centers that inadvertently and unwittingly and unknowingly operate behind closed doors because you've got to come in to us. One of the hardest things for anybody is to walk through, and I always recognise that here at Paul, one of the hardest things is to walk in somewhere for the first time. That is such a daunting thing. So it's making sure the right people are there on the door to talk, to put people at ease, point out, there's the loo, you get water there, it lasts an hour, and just do these things. But the next logical step is to go out. And I don't know if you were on earlier, Tim, I was talking this year, but also the rally next year. And I'm looking at holding that in the Arts Centre. They've got one of their venues there. Function room holds 80 people. Nice little venue. And it's outside of the remits of the church. It's outside the church premises. It's somewhere new. It's somewhere different. So that reach is going to be broadened. Something to work on there. And this is nothing, you know, that I've got the monopoly on. This is something anybody could do. You know, look beyond the walls of and the front door of your church, centre, grove, whatever it is. And go out, meet people, hire somewhere, not just for an endless demonstration, hire somewhere and present talks. You know, draw up an agenda. As I say, we've got the talks coming up here with Phil Dykes, Kerry MacLeod, Nick Witham, Stephen Maker, and they've all got really interesting topics of conversation. A couple of them are quite not provocative, but they aren't going to be nicey. They're going to be very real from a different perspective. So yeah. Thank you, Tim. Nice to see you. And as I say, see you in 2 weeks. Tim, following up. There is some wonderful vintage footage of Harry Edwards, a healer, and some of his co-healers stand in Trafalgar Square. Yeah, that's awesome, that. Offering healing to the bowler hat and umbrella brigade on their way to work. Yeah, there is. There's so much potential there. And it just takes that slight shift. It's only a small shift. But it's a very big shift for some people, but it's a very small shift to just go out and try things. I love trying things. You know, if you try an event, okay, when you come back, you need to go through it properly. Not what we do as mediums, you know, self-destructive. Oh, I didn't get that. I didn't say that. I didn't pick that up. But okay, did that work? Did we meet people? Yes. Were they engaged? No. Okay, why weren't they engaged? Are we not talking? What's the demographic? You know, we've got to look at things like that. We've got a very big uni in Bournemouth, very big uni. And I've tried a couple of years on the trot to get in on Freshers Week, but they don't, fair play, they don't have any religious organisation. So that's, yeah, okay, that's your rules, that's fine. But there is still that potential there for reaching totally different audience. As I say, with the theatres, some of these theatre mediums we see, what's his name? Stuart Michael, something like that. I mean, he's absolutely ramming places out. But again, you know, they're advertising, they reach different bands of people. And that's things maybe we could look at. Maybe we could look at and go, okay, how does that work? Understand it. How does that work? But thank you, Tim. Thank you. Jan says there, I'd look at universities. Definitely. Yeah. Tim, yeah, I think as spiritualists, we're not the greatest at outreach work. Very true. Mind you, the union did do the store at the Pride event. And yeah, all right, there were some people gave it flack. Whatever you do, people are going to give it flack. That's life, move on. But I thought it was a great idea. Absolutely brilliant idea. They're meeting people, having fun. You know, we are allowed to have fun. So, Sammy, yes, I love you. I've seen this. Loads of raves and parties happening at barbers and hairdressers at the moment. There's one, it's in the bakery in Scotland at 7 in the morning, and it's absolutely awesome. Random, however, just shows anything is possible. So true. So true. You see, Sammy, you're demonstrating there some of the things I've been talking about. It's taking that inspirational thread and going, okay, well, I'd love a rave. I'm not that hot on me dancing now, but I would love a rave. But it's that same essence, it's that same energy of bringing people together in different ways, because bringing people together in different ways appeals to a wider, I don't want to sound too business-like, but you've got to be business-like. It costs £39 now to open the church up, to put the heating on, put the lights on. That's what it costs. So you've got to have a business side to it. People who rent places, our heart goes out to them. Rental of community halls, etc., is going up and up. And the demonstrators' fees, so even before they've opened the doors, they need something like £70 in that plate. Otherwise, it's coming out of the people who's running it pocket. So yeah, we've got to have a business side to it. But yeah, appealing, bringing people in under, what's the word I'm looking for? Help me. It's broadening those horizons. It's broadening that reach to people. We had people turn up for a demo a little while back, and there was just something there, and I thought, you interest me, and I don't know why, and I need to find out why. Anyway, luck was habit. Well, not luck. One of them turned up a little while later for something else, and I got talking to him, and I thought, oh my God, you are exactly the person spiritualism needs. You are inquisitive, you're insightful, you're educated. Oh my God, people like you walk through the doors, and how often do we miss you because we're talking about the parking angel or something? But yeah, thank you, Sammy. If there's a rave in Poole, it's nothing to do with me, Sammy. It'll probably be that Stephen Mager. He'll be behind it. Jan, want to put on an evening of philosophy? Yeah, we've had a couple of philosophy groups here to meet and work with philosophy. Again, that work, the word philosophy, I'm not allowed, I love it. That's my, that was my first passion. No, it wasn't. Healing was my first passion, philosophy my second passion. But that doesn't, we understand it. Everybody in the room tonight, we all understand what we're talking about. You go out in the street and start talking about philosophy to somebody, they're going, what are you talking about? So, again, it's looking at the demographic of people that we're appealing to and using the language that these people are using. So what could we substitute? There we go. It's a question for the hive mind. What would be another name of philosophy? There we go. Chew that one. Tony, are you in? It's a Saturday night and you're indoors. My goodness, what's going wrong? The church and the high street have offered healing outside in the past. Very true. Yeah, very true. The one on the corner there, opposite the butcher's wagon. That's romantic, isn't it? But I know what I'm talking about. And Jody, as someone new to spiritualism, I can see lots of ways you could reach out. Well, then drop them in the message, darling. That would be great. Tim, you're just back from Denmark, aren't you? What they do in Denmark is have sleepovers in the churches where they play spiritual music for the night and have discussions and chats of a spiritual nature. Nice. Yeah. Yeah, why not? Again, when we're on this sort of like well-ploughed field, aren't we? Or am I wrong? So if I'm wrong. We're on this very ploughed field and we fall into these furrows. It's evidential mediumship, it's philosophy, it's fish and chip suppers, it's, do you know what I mean? I'm not being horrible or nasty. I'm trying to look at this from an external view, which is very difficult because I live it. But we've got the same things. Fairs. Talk to me about fairs. And it's still very narrow. We live in a country where there's like 8 million people, and probably only about 0.1% of those people understand what we're talking about when we say these things. So we need to change. We need to expand. We're in that time now where it's going to be crucial. I heard today there's a centre, they're going over to bi-monthly meetings. It's a fact of life, and it's just going to get harder and harder and damned harder. So evolve or die. I know that sounds really harsh, but that's quite a famous saying, evolve or die. And we are in this state where we need this evolution of what we're about. And it's going to push us. I find it, I want to cleave to, oh no, I feel safe with that. So it's very difficult, but interesting. Oh God, I'm going to go upstairs tonight with my mind going. Elizabeth, my darling, how are you? I'm looking forward to, you're going to be down with us, aren't you, this year? It's going to be super. I think that as spiritualists, we should be confident in our faith and offer it gladly. Only we can make the difference, dispel the fear in it. Very true. Very true. And it's how we offer it, how we communicate with people, and it's having those personalities and people to present this. It's very difficult. It is very difficult. And I understand, a lot of churches, centres and places have challenges because of practices that are safe. And if it's safe and it works, we don't leave it, we don't change it ever, but there could be like a forum on this. That would be really interesting, and regardless of associations within the movement, just a forum where people are like a melting pot of thoughts and ideas. I think regionalism has got a very big part to play. Look at your area, look at your demographic, look at what's around you, rather than setting your sights, I want to do that, and actually it's not going to work in this area because there's not the support there. So what is in your area that you can support? If you're in a socially depressed area, things like food banks, warming times and stuff like that is going to work really well, because that's going to have the appeal on a local level. That's just something off the top of my head, but yeah. Tim, answer your question on philosophy. How about discourse, a chat and a cup of tea? Yeah? Yeah. Conversation. The 3 C's. Conversation, chat and a cuppa. I like that. Yeah. Because again, we do, don't we? We as spiritualists, we understand what philosophy is. As I said, outside the doors, people are going to go, what are you talking about? Or they're going to pull it out of the hat and go, you're talking about XYZ. And we're going, oh, no idea what you're talking about there. So, yeah, there is. I say we've got a very, very hard time we're in. Very hard time. And it's not going to get easier very soon. But it's when we're under pressure we perform the best, I believe. I like to think that. Anyway. And lovely to see you, Elizabeth. And I'm looking forward so much to when you are down with us. And when are you down with us? You are down with us in July. How wonderful. Sunny July. Jodie, I think it depends on your group. For the younger generation, I think one of the attractions of spiritualism would be the philosophy, the inclusiveness of it compared to other religions, as well as the idea of another cosmic spiritual dimension, God. Yeah, I agree with you. I totally agree with you. In business, you only have one chance to make a good impression. That's the first one. So working on that basis, working in that energy, how do you introduce that to a wider audience? Indeed, what platform do you use for a wider audience? I think Facebook now is the preserve of us mature people. There are many other platforms, but there's many other forms of advertising as well. So, and venues as well. Yeah. Oh gosh. Yes. As I said, tonight I'm going to be sat upstairs scribbling for hours, so that annoy the cat. Anyway, I sat here at 7 o'clock thinking, what am I going to talk about? And at 8:20, I'm thinking, Lawrence, shut up. Thank you, everybody who's joined in tonight. I really hope there's some thoughts there that we can take with us wherever we are, wherever we do. I know lovely Tim's just got back from Denmark and experiencing it myself working in Europe. It's quite refreshing because there's a very fresh approach to spiritualism. So how can we transfer that back into the UK? Without limiting ourselves to spiritualists only appealing to spiritualists. How about spiritualists presenting spiritualism to a wider understanding? Elizabeth, regionally, why wouldn't forums work? Regions coming together throughout the UK and expressing ideas. Zoom or equivalent is an amazing tool to do such a thing. It is. I love to do this platform for these nights, these talks, but for actually getting people together in Zoom, yeah, absolutely. Break down these barriers and realize we're all working for the same goal. We're all working for the same boss. Anyway, Pauline, yes, see you in 2 weeks. You'll be in the right place this year, won't you, darling? We don't want to repeat of last year, do we? No. Lovely, Matt. Great evening, chat. Big hug, and big hug to you too, Matt. I'm looking forward to catching up with you at the college. That'd be great. Thank you so much, everybody. Absolutely wonderful. Just remember, you can watch our service live tomorrow from the church right here, there. Wonderful. I'm so pleased for that. Who we got? Jamie Williamson. Love Jamie. He's such a nice chap. He really is. Yes, so that's 11 o'clock BST tomorrow. Tim, yeah, we'll see you at the college. Looking forward to it. And Yvonne as well. I've not actually met Yvonne in flesh, so that's going to be a first as well. It's always weird when you meet people that you know online and when you meet them in person, it's like, ooh, you're real. In the meantime, everybody, have a wonderful night. And the only thing to fear is fear itself. Hard world, hard decisions, hard choices coming up. Go with it. Remember, you're wonderful. Remember that. Remember, you're absolutely wonderful. And you've got this far. And you're going to keep on. Super. Good night, everybody. Have a wonderful night.